So where I was with my training before starting with Modern Athlete, I was coming off a pretty long lull in training. Hadn't really been training a lot at all, and the training I'd been doing was kind of sporadic all over the place. And I've been training for a super long time. I've worked with a lot of coaches in the past. So I just really needed some structure. I wanted to get back into more strength and conditioning, but I wanted someone to be able to kind of guide that process who had a much more robust background than me in both the collegiate environment, so being able to do some advanced, more athletic things combined with a tactical background, being a former Marine myself and being a combat athlete. I wanted someone who could blend those two things together. So what led me to choosing Modern Athlete was I'd followed them on social media forever. I read all their stuff, and I had seen some of their programming from Nick Lavery, and then I dove down a whole bunch of rabbit holes, and I'd bought a lot of their programs on Train Heroic, and I very regularly just kind of read through them just to see basically how they would progress things over time or how they would basically solve different problems. So I really just wanted to get it from the horse's mouth. I wanted to see, basically what they could do, if I gave them extremely clear directions or if they were only working for me instead of programming for the masses, because I know how difficult that can be as someone who owns a gym and programs for general population clients. The
Absolutely.
biggest challenges I would face would be just like life getting in the way, the stresses of school, business ownership, relationships, whatever it might be. Life just always tends to get in the way. And with my personality being a perfectionist and a people pleaser, I tend to put my needs last. And, in the realm of things that are important, training would tend to get put on the back burner. So I tend to do much better if I'm working with a team or if I have a coach to work for. That gives me a little bit more skin in the game, and it definitely helps hold me more accountable. Um, so that was definitely something that I knew I needed in order to kind of give as much to my training as I should to get where I want to be. So goals coming into the program, I wanted to, add some size. I wanted to get a lot stronger. I wanted to kind of fix some nagging injuries that I had had and learn some new ways to work around or through those. But I wanted to be basically like the deadliest human possible. I wanted to be an athletic weapon in every sense of the word. And I figured that Modern Athlete was pretty much the perfect way to go about it because that's what they do. So I wanted as much strength and conditioning as possible with both strength and conditioning. So definitely the most valuable thing throughout this entire process has just been the relationship that Coach Jimmy and I developed. And that was really the number one thing I think I was looking for was as a coach myself, I know what my idea of a coach is as opposed to what I think a trainer is. So I didn't want someone who would just write a program or just give me sets, reps, and percentages. I wanted someone who I could talk to. I wanted someone who could provide, wisdom and mentorship. And I got all of that and then some. And throughout the process of this 13 weeks, I ended up changing my goals numerous times, sometimes pretty quickly, going from just really very broad, general, no clear cut goal, just, hey, let's just get back to training, let's get back to feeling strong and dangerous, to signing up for an MMA fight on extremely short notice. So our programming, shifted accordingly and it was outstanding. I felt big, I felt fast, I felt strong. I was crushing people in the training room and then made a career shift pretty much, at the drop of a hat. And then my training had to change again to where I ended up having to pull out of the fight because I got scheduled for an interview and a PT test. And then that went fantastic. I was able to talk with Jimmy the entire time, and he was able to provide me with tons of guidance. He was there every step of the day or every step of the way, and we were able to talk every single day. I could send him all my videos. He would give me outstanding feedback, like, "Hey, adjust this, try this, let's kind of manipulate this," and I would tell him how I'm feeling, and we would adjust accordingly. Um, and really, that was the most valuable thing for me was just how much we got to talk back and forth, and then our conversations every single Sunday those were worth the price of admission in and of themselves. Yeah. So, how would I describe my experience overall with Coach Jimmy? I couldn't recommend it enough. And when I found out that I was going to actually get Coach Jimmy, I was stoked because when I had reached out to apply for one-on-one coaching with Modern Athlete, I knew that Jimmy was the top dog there, so I had assumed he would be way too busy to take on one-on-one clients. But he was able to kind of make time, and that meant a lot to me. And this was absolutely everything that I thought or that I hoped it would be, and then some. This surpassed all my expectations. And having worked with coaches in person and worked with a lot of coaches remotely over the last 6 years, this was a completely different animal. We were able to talk every single day, not just about training, but about life or about work or, coaching. The amount of knowledge that I gained from this, the amount of things Jimmy would send me, hey, here's how I progressed this. Here's how I regressed this. That was probably one of the most valuable things I've gotten in my entire coaching career or athletic career. This was by far the most in-depth and robust coaching experience I've ever had, and I could not recommend it enough. What would I say to someone who's undecided, not sure if they want to work with Modern Athlete? Pull the trigger, dude. Do it. There's nothing can replace a good coach. Nothing. AI will never replace it. The best program ever won't replace having a good coach who's there with you to actually guide you and talk to you as you go through. The relationship you build is the most important part of it. And Modern Athlete does that better than any other company or any other training program I've ever seen. And it's not close. So commit to yourself, take the leap, get a coach, work with Modern Athlete, get to where you want to be.